The zombies. Seeing a bully finally pay for what they did is always satisfying, and that's exactly what happens to Captain Rhodes in Day of the Dead. It all starts with Rhodes running like a desperate man while the underground base turns into pure chaos. He abandons everyone, limps away, completely terrified, and then Bub appears, the most trained zombie in history, like he actually took a shooting course. Bub shoots him in the shoulder, then in the leg, and Rhodes realizes the tide has fully turned. He stumbles to a door, opens it, and finds a crowd of hungry zombies staring at him like he's an all-you-can-eat buffet. When he tries to turn back, Bub fires another shot and gives a military salute. Total mockery. The zombies pull Rhodes apart from every side while he's still conscious. End of the road. Willy's Wonderland is about killer animatronics and a janitor who solves everything with his fist, literally. The janitor, played by Nicolas Cage, takes on each possessed mascot like it's just another routine maintenance job. Throughout the night, he takes them out one by one. Gus Gorilla gets his head crushed. Cammy Chameleon is decapitated. Cyrene Sarah the Knight has her neck twisted like a twig. And Willy Weasel, the boss, is simply ripped out of the set. When morning comes, the restaurant looks like the perfect crime scene. Clean, organized, everything dead. Then Tex McAdoo and Jed Love show up, the guys who wanted to reopen the place. They don't even have time to enjoy it. Cyrene Sarah appears, completely wrecked but still alive enough to make one last move. She throws gasoline on their car and boom, explosion. The restaurant is gone, the plan is gone, everyone's gone. Across the road, the janitor and Liv drive away like it was just another Tuesday, until Tito Turtle, completely destroyed, tries to crawl after them. They run him over without even slowing down. Definitive end. Final guillotine. In I Saw the Devil, revenge is cruel. We meet two men on opposite sides of horror. Kim Soo-hyun is a secret agent, trained to protect and investigate extreme crimes. Jang Kyung-chul is a psychopathic serial killer. Driven by the brutal murder of his fiancée committed by the psychopath, Kim Soo-hyun abandons any idea of normal justice and turns grief into revenge. He doesn't want to end the hunt. He wants to stretch out the suffering, make the killer live the same terror he always inflicted. That's when Jang Kyung-chul realizes, too late, that he's found someone far worse than himself. Kim Soo-hyun doesn't just want to catch him. He wants the killer to feel every piece of pain he caused. Soo-hyun captures the guy, lets him go, captures him again, lets him go again. And Kyung-chul keeps attacking more people because he thrives on chaos. But the ending? That ending is absolutely devastating. Soo-hyun prepares a trap inside the killer's house, a handmade guillotine built specifically for the grand finale. He ties Kyung-chul up, leaves him there, helpless, and walks away. But not before guaranteeing the worst psychological torture possible. Kyung-chul's family, people who had nothing to do with any of it, arrive at the door. They open it, and the blade drops. His head rolls, and the last thing he sees before dying is exactly who he never wanted to hurt: his family. The thieves. At first it seems simple. 3 thieves trying to rob a blind old man who looks defenseless. But Don't Breathe quickly turns into something else. Something much worse. Rocky, Alex, and Money think the job will be easy. The house is isolated, the owner can't see, and they need cash. But the moment they get inside, that strange vibe kicks in. At first it almost feels fair when the blind man fights back. The blind man kills Money and leaves Rocky and Alex in total chaos. They try to escape, but the old man has war-honed reflexes and senses that are way too sharp. He knows the house like it's an extension of his own body. As the movie goes on, even injured, the blind man dominates the 2 thieves and completely flips the situation in a way no one expects. The chase goes down into the basement, and that's when everything turns into an absolute nightmare. There, the thieves find a pregnant woman chained up, revealing the old man's filthy secret. The thieves rescue her, but she ends up being killed during the escape. That's when we learn the old man doesn't just want to protect himself. He wants to replace the daughter who was killed years ago with that woman. And after her death, Rocky becomes part of his plan. He wants to forcibly inseminate her.
I'm done waiting.
No.
Before the worst can happen, Alex shows up and knocks the blind man down. To finish it, Rocky empties all the liquid into his mouth. They try to escape, but when they attempt to leave through the front door, Alex is shot by the veteran and dies. Rocky gets into another physical fight with him, manages to shoot the old man, and finally escapes the house. Hungry ghosts. In Dr. Sleep, Rose the Hat shows up thinking she owns the game. She's powerful, confident in her own shine, the leader of an entire cult that survives by sucking the steam out of shining children. She hunts Danny, invades minds, manipulates, controls, and for a while she really does seem unbeatable. But Danny does something completely unexpected. He lures Rose to the worst place possible, the Overlook Hotel. The hotel full of rotten memories, violent spirits, and living trauma becomes a weapon. Rose walks the halls thinking she'll dominate everything, but soon realizes that place doesn't follow any rules. Danny even tries to fight her, but she's stronger. She pushes, invades, almost wins. But inside Danny's mind, there are boxes where he locked away everything bad he lived through at the Overlook. And that's the real turning point. He opens the boxes, all of them. Suddenly, Rose isn't facing Danny anymore. She's facing the ghosts that devoured his father, destroyed an entire family, and turned a hotel into a living entity. And they fall on her like starving wolves. She tries to fight back, but she doesn't stand a chance. The Overlook never lets anyone go. Family explosion. Nothing beats the delicious, unexpected chaos of the ending of Ready or Not. Grace spends the entire night running from the worst family imaginable. Rich, eccentric, and completely devoted to a demonic ritual. The Ladomas believe that if they don't sacrifice whoever draws the hide-and-seek card, they'll explode because of a pact they made with the devil. So they hunt Grace like it's a sport. Grace gets beaten, runs, almost dies, but survives until sunrise. And then the unexpected happens. Nothing. No lightning, no demon. The whole family feels relieved for just a few seconds. And then
Bill dies!
the aunt explodes like a balloon, then another, and another, everyone blowing up in a grotesque way. We find out the pact was real, and they failed miserably. Even Alex, the husband who claimed to love Grace, ends up exploding. She, covered in blood, simply walks out of the house and sits on the steps as the police arrive. When the officers ask what happened,
Jesus Christ, what happened to you?
In-laws.
reversed ritual. The Witches. Suspiria is strange from start to finish, but the ending somehow manages to be worse. The villain Helena Marcos is an ancient, deformed witch who commands the entire coven and wants to use Susie as a new vessel. She wants a new life. She wants to stay in power. She wants to be eternal. But she didn't count on one simple thing. Susie was not a victim. She was something far greater. During the ritual, when it looks like Susie will be sacrificed, she reveals the truth. She is the true Mater Suspiriorum. Yes, the Mother of Darkness, the one in charge. Susie summons death, literally, in a grotesque, dark, unavoidable form. And Marcos rots, collapses, falls apart. Flesh turns to sludge. Worst of all, the witches who supported Marcos also pay the price. One by one, their heads explode. The academy turns into chaos. Death everywhere. Structures collapsing. Those who didn't betray Susie are spared. The Zombie Tiger. Army of the Dead has tons of zombies, tons of guns, and tons of excess, but nothing tops Martin, the greediest character in the movie. He's not there for the team, not even for the money. His goal is to steal the zombie queen's head and sell it to the government, a disgusting, cowardly, profitable plan. He tricks everyone, lies nonstop, and when he thinks he's secured the head, he betrays the team. He locks the vault door, leaves everyone trapped, and walks away victorious.
Hey, what are you doing? Woo! Martin, let us out of here.
Oh my god, I got you twice. I got you twice.
But then he realizes the bag was switched. He took money, no head. And that's when Valentine, the zombie tiger, shows up. He looks at Martin like he's a new toy, and then the show starts. He tosses the guy around and kills him. It's grotesque, but it's also one of the most satisfying moments in the movie because Martin is unbearable. The Huntress. Your Next is a home invasion movie with one key difference from the others. Erin. Entire family gathered at a cabin, masked killers with an elaborate plan. But the part they forgot to calculate? Erin grew up in a survivalist compound. In other words, she's a walking self-defense machine. The masked attackers show up full of confidence. They were hired as hitmen by the couple Felix and Z, with the intention of killing the parents so they could inherit the family fortune. The attacks were staged to look like a random home invasion, but in reality, they were part of a carefully planned betrayal. The problem is that every confrontation with Erin turns into chaos. She improvises weapons, counters attacks with military manual efficiency, and basically turns the house into a battlefield. They don't stand a chance. Erin becomes the criminal's worst nightmare. In the end, their plan collapses in a ridiculous ridiculous way, and she discovers that her boyfriend Christian was also involved with the criminals.
Come on, babe. You do know how broke we are, right?
You would have killed me.
No.
And she kills him. Brothers in Hell. From Dusk Till Dawn pulls a fast one on you. It starts off looking like a frantic crime movie with the Gecko brothers on the run from the police. Seth is the tough, strategic one. Richie is pure walking chaos. The Fullers, made up of Jacob and his kids, are taken hostage along the way and forced to take part in a smuggling run across the Mexican border. The Outlaw brothers and the family arrive at the Titty Twister. From that point on, everything turns into a carnival of crazed vampires, mutilations, and gallons of blood flying everywhere. The power dynamic instantly flips. The villains stop being the villains. The Geckos team up with the Fullers to survive. Seth basically becomes an improvised leader. Richie, on the other hand, becomes food and then turns into a vampire, and his own brother has to put him down by driving a stake through his chest.
Richie, here is the peace in death that I could not give you in life.
Things get so extreme that the Fullers realize being kidnapped was actually the light part of the day. Now the mission is just to stay alive. In the end, only Seth and Kate Fuller make it out alive. Broken, traumatized, and covered in blood that isn't just theirs. Seth follows through with his plan to head to El Rey. Kate decides to go live her own life. The wrong gang. In No One Lives, if there's one group of criminals that made the worst possible choice, it's Hoag's gang. They wanted to rob a couple, torture them a bit, do what horror movie criminals usually do, but they messed with the worst possible person, the driver. A highly trained, cold, calculating killer with a violently creative mind. When the gang captures the driver, they think they're in control. Pure illusion. He escapes with ease, turns every member of the group into a target, and kindly turns their night into a personalized hell. Nothing is too extreme for him, not even hiding inside a corpse to infiltrate their hideout. One of the most insane scenes in the movie. The gang gets wiped out one by one, non-stop. By the end, the driver is so efficient, he almost feels supernatural.
No one lives.
Worse than Jigsaw. In Saw X, John Kramer appears in an unusual position for the first time. He isn't the worst monster in the story. Kramer travels in search of a revolutionary procedure that supposedly would cure his cancer. He has hope, something rare for him. But the group running the treatment is a scam ring specialized in squeezing every last cent out of desperate patients. Cecilia, the leader, is downright monstrous. No empathy, no limits, no shame. Kramer becomes the victim, and that changes everything. He switches into full philosophical killer engineer mode and creates cruel games to punish those involved. And even then, the person who crosses every ethical line is Cecilia. She kidnaps an innocent boy, Carlos, and puts him inside one of the games to try to turn the tables on Kramer. And that's when it becomes clear. Jigsaw may be cruel, but he never did this to a child. Cecilia does it without feeling a thing. The movie ends with Kramer alive, Amanda alive, Carlos saved, while Cecilia is left to die. Vampire on board. Blood Red Sky takes the classic airplane hijacking cliche and completely flips it upside down. It all starts with a night flight heading to New York. Calm passengers, tired travel vibes, until a group of terrorists led by Berg takes control of the plane. They're confident, armed, and sure that no one on board will put up a fight. We're led to believe that Nadia, the quiet, frail mother traveling with her son Elias, is sick. Something like leukemia. She looks weak, exhausted, vulnerable. And that's exactly why the criminals completely ignore her. But Nadia isn't sick. She's hiding the fact that she's a vampire trying to live quietly among humans. When the terrorists start threatening Elias, something inside her snaps. And it's not slow. She unleashes a brutal animal instinct that turns the entire plane into a bloody war zone in the sky. From there on, chaos takes over. Nadia becomes a killing machine, ripping apart, attacking, and taking down every member of the gang. Things spiral even further out of control when one of the hijackers decides to turn himself into a vampire using Nadia's blood in an attempt to even the odds. Turning the plane into an airborne infestation, with passengers and criminals becoming bloodthirsty creatures. In the end, almost no one survives. The plane becomes a flying cemetery. Only Elias, Nadia's son, and one passenger make it out alive. Yeah, my friends, the terrorists picked the wrong plane to hijack. The bully. In Antlers, Clint is the textbook school bully. He's constantly harassing Lucas, a quiet, isolated kid, clearly dealing with something far more serious than bad grades and playground teasing. But Clint, being Clint, doesn't understand limits and decides to take the bullying to the worst possible place, deep into the woods. That's where everything goes wrong. Clint thinks he's about to intimidate Lucas one more time, but the one who shows up isn't the boy. It's his father, Frank. And Frank is no longer the father he once was. After being attacked earlier in the movie, he goes through a slow, grotesque transformation, becoming something between a human and a primal, starving creature. When Clint runs into him, Frank is already completely consumed by the Wendigo, driven only by the instinct to hunt and devour. The attack is brutal. From the top of a tree, Frank launches himself at Clint with an impossible speed for something so monstrous. There's no escape, just desperate screams and the horrific sound of flesh being torn apart. Lucas, smart enough to know better, runs immediately. He knows what his father has become. He knows no one survives when the Wendigo decides to attack. You almost feel bad for Clint. Almost. The creator. In Five Nights at Freddy's, the true face of evil isn't a killer animatronic, but Steve Raglan, the supposed career counselor who shows up all friendly at the beginning. The act doesn't last long. He's actually William Afton, the mastermind behind everything that corrupted Freddy's Fazbear's Pizza. Afton is a serial killer who lured children to their deaths and hid their bodies inside the restaurant's animatronics. The result? Giant machines, cute on the outside but possessed by the trapped souls of the victims. He didn't just kill them, he manipulated, imprisoned, and turned the creatures into extensions of his own will. But his control doesn't last forever. Mike, the protagonist, along with his sister Abby, manages to make the animatronics remember who they really were. Not monsters, not killers. Children. Children who want justice. And that simple realization breaks Afton's influence in a powerful way. When they turn on him, it's almost poetic, the creator being destroyed by his own experiment. They activate an internal springlock mechanism in the suit, which locks, pierces his body, and tears him apart from the inside. Afton collapses in agony and, in the end, gets exactly what he deserved.
I always come back.
Honorable death. In Alien vs. Predator, Scar isn't exactly a hero, but he's also not the worst monster on screen. He follows the Predator code, hunts with honor, and finds an unlikely ally in Lex when the xenomorphs spiral out of control. The common enemy outweighs any difference between them. The fight against the xenomorph queen is tense and full of that disgusting biological chaos the Alien universe does so well. Scar and Lex fight together, set traps, improvise, and manage to defeat the creature, but not without a cost. The queen impales Scar with her tail before falling. It's fatal. As Lex tries to give him an honorable farewell, the predators arrive to retrieve him. They place his body on a ceremonial pedestal, recognizing his bravery. It feels like a beautiful, respectful, almost emotional ritual. On screen, there's a video showing fates in horror movies worse than death. Click and watch. I'll see you there.